Hello there, and welcome back to the Clear Codes channel. In today's video, we are going to be working on a project that incorporates the Glassmorphic effect. So this is what we are going to be making, and it has a cool tilt using vanillatilt.js, which is a library. And yeah, so Glassmorphic I've seen pop up more and more recently. So if you go on Dribble with 3 B's, you can see some examples of Glassmorphic work. So it's kind of this like glassy overlay effect, as you can see here. I think it's well done. I've seen it with like some credit card versions. Here's it with a calculator. That's very cool. And yeah, I've also seen it a lot with like dashboards. Like you see this Glassmorphic effect happening. And I think it's really fun. Oh, here's it with the credit card, which I mentioned before. Cool. And so I saw also on YouTube, a YouTuber named DevEd did a UI design tutorial of making Glassmorphic design in Figma, as well as building a Glass website with HTML and CSS. So I'll link this below. Definitely check it out. He's a great YouTuber. Okay, so this is what we are going to be making today. And it's just to get the basics of making this effect and, you know, the CSS behind it. And then we're going to add this cool little, you know, JavaScript effect to it as well. Okay. And as always, I'll have the repository linked below. So if you get stuck anywhere, you can look at the source code directly. So with that all said, let's jump into it. So I'm going to open my terminal and let's increase the size of this. So I'm going to CD to my desktop. That's where I'm going to put this folder. And I'm going to, now I'm on my desktop, I'm going to make a directory and I'm going to call it Glassmorphic. Okay, and then I'm going to press enter, and then I'm going to CD into Glassmorphic. And then I have this command running in my code editor, which is once I'm in the directory, I can do code dot, and it'll open Visual Studio Code. Perfect. And you can do this once you have Visual Studio Code open for the first time. If you do Command-Shift-P and you do shell command install code command and path, that's how you can get it to do that, which I think is very cool. So I'm going to make first my index.html, and I did that just right here. Let's zoom in one more time, and I just clicked new file. You can also right click new file, and I'm going to do my styles.css, and then I also want an index.js. Cool. So let's get rid of welcome. I feel very welcomed already. And let's jump into our index HTML. And I'm just going to do exclamation point, and then it's going to autofill, which is great. So title, Glassmorphic design. Let's actually increase the size of this a bit. Cool. Now let's link everything up. So I'm going to do the link tag, close that. And that's href./styles.css, and then rel of style sheet. And then let's also, right at the end of the body is where you link up your JavaScript files. So I'm going to do a script, close that, and then the script is going to be source./index.js. Cool. All right. And let's get rid of that. Let's go back to what's going on here. So really, I just have 3 things going on. I have, or 4, I guess. I have these 2 shapes, right? I have the div, which is this rectangle with rounded corners, and then I have the text within it. So let's get that all settled. So within the body, I'm going to first make a container with the class of container. So this is where we're going to put the circles and also our glass effect. So div, I'm going to give this the class of circle 1. And let's just copy that. And then this is going to be circle 2, you probably guessed. And then we're going to have a div here, give that the class of glass. And within that, I'm going to have an h1. And let's just write Glassmorphic effect. Cool. So let's don't need to look at that view. I'm going to open side-by-side windows and I'm going to put the styles right beside it so I can see what's going on. And then I know I want to have Poppins as my font, the typeface. So I went to Google Fonts. You can search Poppins. I selected it for bold, extra bold actually, 800. And then I'm going to go to @import and I'm just going to copy this import link and I'm going to put that directly in my CSS file. Okay. Now I'm going to do asterisk to select everything. I want to give everything a margin 0, a padding 0, so everything just starts off like fresh. Box sizing, border box. I'm just going to explain border box kind of quickly. Basically, it's a box sizing sets the total width and height of how the element is calculated. So this is content box, as you can see over here. This is border box. So border box tells it to account for the border and the padding values for within the where it is. So it's going to take up that much space. So it'll shrink to the container even if it has a border versus content box. So definitely this is in Mozilla developer docs, which are always helpful. So if you want to research that more, definitely look into it. So I'm going to give everything an outline of none. Starting border none, and I want the font family to be Poppins, and then you always give a backup, so sans serif. Okay, and now we're gonna style the body a bit. So I want this to display flex. I want to justify all my content center, and I want to align items. So this, as you can see, this aligns flex items across the cross axis of the line. So this is what's doing it vertical, and justify content center is doing it horizontally. So align items, if I can spell correctly. And I want the min height to be 100 view height, so 100% of the whole viewport height. And I want the background to be a linear gradient, and I'm going to have this gradient go negative 60 degrees. I'm going to do a light blue at the top, so 0, 1, 6 BBF, to a darker blue, 0, 1, 4, 2, 7, 7. Cool. So they're just slightly different, just to give a slight gradient. And then I want the body to have a position relative because I'm going to have absolutely positioned circles. I don't know why I just opened that. So I want to see what's going on so far. So I'm going to do Command-Shift-P, and I have a an extension called Live Server, which definitely, let's look at extensions. They're over here. So I can go to Live Server. Because I'm using this in Visual Studio Code, and then just install it from here. And then what you can do is you can do Command-Shift-P, and you can do Open Live in Live Server. So it's starting off on the port, and so this is what we have so far. So nothing styled yet. Okay. So let's go back. Close this again. All right. So we have that all happening. Display flex, align items. Okay, cool. So let's do our first circle. So let's select circle 1, and we want to position absolute top. Let's do 7%, left, not 2 pixels, but I don't know why it autofilled that, 22%. And then let's give it a width of 13 EMs, and I'm pretty sure EM to pixel difference. Okay, so 1 EM pixel to EM conversion. I'm pretty sure, I think it's 16 pixels, right? 16 pixels. Convert 16 pixels will be 1 EM, I believe. Convert pixels to EM. Result 16 pixels. Okay, that's what I thought. So 13 EM, so you could do the math. Okay, cool. And then let's also give a height of 13 EM. And we want this to be a circle, so border radius of 50%. And we're not going to see anything right now. We would see something if we gave it a background. So I'm going to do another linear gradient. This time it's going to be negative 25 degrees. And let's do like yellow, like a darker yellow. E8CF7E to a lighter yellow. Hashtag F4EBCC. That sounds good. And let's see what's going on now. Let's go to our live server. Let's refresh. Did I link this correctly? It doesn't appear. So it's live on port 501. We have our styles. We have it linked. href here. I'm going to close it and try again. Go live. Let's inspect to see what's going on. So we definitely have this going on. We have our script, our head. Container. So you can see none of our styles are coming in. Oh, I spelled style sheet incorrectly. I hope you caught that. Let's go back. Okay, cool. I was wondering why like things weren't centered even though we put flex there. I'm glad it's actually working. So this is what we have so far. Awesome. I also want to give the circle, I think, a bit of a box shadow. So let's go to the circle. So yes, as you can see, typos happen, and that's why debugging is so important. 0, 0, 50 pixels, and let's give it like the blue we have up here. Cool. Slight box shadow. All right, and then we want circle 2. So let's copy that because a lot of it's going to be the same. Instead, let's give this a top of 47%, and let's do a right 22%. And let's make it a little larger. So I'm gonna do 19 EM. And let's keep the box shadow the same, and let's do a different color here. So let's do 51E4FE. And I have the colors written somewhere else in a different file, just so you know, so I'm not like just a color savant. But that'd be very cool if I could just be like 0B91FF is going to be a darker blue. That'd be pretty awesome. So let's see. Beautiful. It's looking great. Okay, cool. So now let's move on to the glass effect, which is what's I'm most excited about. So let's select glass, and let's give this div a width of 650 pixels, a height of 400 pixels. We want it to display flex as well. And we are going to align everything center just like we did here. So I'm just going to copy that from there. And let's give it a background of white. And then at the end of white, which is 6 Fs, I'm going to do 1A. And this is actually what's controlling the opacity. So as you can see, if I lifted it up further, it's going to be F47, F21, F08, and then like 1A, it can go like up to, you know, it just continues. So that's basically the opacity, is what comes after the hash of the 6 numbers or 6 letters or what have you, which I think is really cool. So as you can see, it's starting to happen, right? We can see that it's see-through, but it still doesn't have quite the Glassmorphic effect yet. We're getting there. All right, so let's give it a padding of 1.5 em, and we want it to have a nice rounded corners, so we're gonna give it a border radius of 25 pixels. Let's give it a border, 2 pixels, solid. Let's do also another white, but let's do it slightly less opaque, or slightly more opaque, I would say. And then let's also give it a box shadow, 0, 0, 30 pixels. And then we want it to be black, but less opacity. Okay, so let's save and see what's going on. So it's getting there once again, and now the Glassmorphic effect. We are going to do backdrop filter. We're going to give it a blur of 20 pixels. Boom! It's beautiful. There she blows. Okay, cool. So now I also want to give it, this tilt effect. So cool. And then let's also style up the text a bit, I would say. So let's do the text first. H1, font size, 3em, text transform, uppercase, and then color. We're all about these see-through colors. Sweet, it's looking great. Okay, so now the vanilla tilt.js. So I'm going to put a link to this, to the docs below. So basically, first you need to put the script in, right? And then there are all of these options and defaults that happen. So if you don't do anything, okay, so I'm getting ahead of myself. So basically what you have to do is you initialize with vanilla tilt.init, and then you query select what class, what element, what div, what have you want to apply the tilt to. And then you can add things like the max and the speed. You can add all of these things to it, right? The transition, the axis, is it easing? Is there glare? So for our uses, we want glare to be true. We're going to give a max tilt. I think about the rotation in degrees. We can play around with that. And then I also want to control the speed. Okay. So we're going to go back here. I actually have, and you can get this from the repo. There are two ways of doing this. So the first way is to get the min. So this is being hosted on the internet. Or you can also just download this directly. So I can download tilt.js. It'll download. I think I need to do, right click, save as. Okay, so I would download it here, and then I would make another file here. So besides index.js, I could do tilt.js, and then I would script it connect it via the script tag here. So I'm just going to do it this way. It's a little faster for me. And then in our index.js, now that we have this script here, and make sure to put it on top of the index.js for this to work. I'm going to go here, and let's actually just copy what's going on here. So make sure we do it correctly. So vanilla tilt init, and my element I want to connect it to is glass. Do .glass, and let's give it a max of 5 degrees, speed 200, and I want glare to be true, max glare of 1. All right, let's see if that's working. Yay, it's working. But as you can see, I don't know if you see, but the corners are still square. I ran into this problem, and I found that if you go to glass and you do overflow hidden, it's going to be rounded corners. And it gives us more of a glass effect, which I think is really fun. Cool. So now let's just, kind kind of enhance this a little bit, let's do our media queries. So let's start with max width, media screen, and max, oops, this has to be in parentheses, max width of 768 pixels, which is tablet size. We want the whole glass div to have a width of 450 pixels and a height of 300 pixels. And let's copy this whole thing again. Let's do max width 400 pixels, and we want glass to be 300 and 250. Oop. That would be very tall. And then for max width 768 as well, let's also select each one, and let's give it a font size of 2em. All right, let's see how this is looking. I'm just gonna refresh just to be sure. And then, boom, cool. Yeah, so I think that this effect could be really cool if you have like portfolio and you want to show projects, or you just have like different icons maybe that are in the middle of this, and you have this little effect as you move down the page. Yeah, thanks for watching. Hope you learned something. Stay tuned and hope to see you in the next episode. Have a great day. Bye.